If you're buying a house in Surrey, Langley, or White Rock right now, there's a good chance you're walking into a money trap and you don't even know it. But if you miss these big caveats, your beautiful townhouse can turn into a huge headache before you even move in. I've been selling real estate here for over 20 years, and today I'll reveal the traps I see people getting themselves into all the time and how you can avoid them. Okay, so before we dig into the traps, let me give you a quick rundown on where the market sits today. Reality is the headlines and what's really happening, they don't always line up. The Fraser Valley's picked up quite a bit over the last few months. The Fraser Valley Real Estate Board logged 1,124 sales in May 2026, up slightly from April, and marked the 5th month in a row that sales have increased. That being said, there's still tons of supply out there. Active listings are sitting around 10,140, which is about a 45% above the 10-year average for this time of year. The sales to active listings ratio is at 11%, which puts us into buyer's market territory. And after 2 straight months of home price index increases in March and April, prices slipped slightly in May by 0.7%. So if you're asking me, and I could be wrong, but I think we are at or near the bottom of the price declines that we've seen over the past few years. And when the bottom arrives, you usually don't know until it's already passed. And once the good deals are gone, they're gone. We're also starting to see multiple offers on some properties again. Now, not crazy like 2021, but enough to push sellers closer to what they're asking if it's a reasonable price. We actually had a buyer that was in a multiple offer situation trying to buy a place just last week, and then that same weekend we had 3 offers on the house they were trying to sell. And we haven't had that in a long time. But stick around because there are some market caveats that you might not know about before you make that purchase, and I'll get into them later. Now, for sellers, the pricing rule hasn't changed. Price is king. You've got to come on the market sharp or you're gonna sit. Here's a good example. We had a rancher we dropped from 1.25 million down to 1.2 million, and showings went from 1 a week to 5 in a single weekend. Same house, same condition. The only thing that changed was the price. Buyer searches are all set up by price range. So the second your listing drops into a new bracket, a whole new group of buyers gets an automatic email and the showings start rolling in. One more thing too, that 2026 tax assessment that most owners are looking at is actually based on what homes were worth on July the 1st, 2025. But prices across the Fraser Valley are roughly 7 to 9% below that today. So if you're pricing your house off your tax assessment, you're pricing it off of last year's price. However, like I said, the market is only half of it. There are 5 BC traps waiting for buyers right now, and they have nothing to do with whether the market is hot or cold. And the first one is changing what a single family neighborhood even looks like in this province. The Bill 44 density blindside. All right, so this is one almost every buyer misses, especially anyone coming in from out of province. Back in November of 2023, the BC government passed Bill 44, the Housing Statutes Residential Development Amendment Act. Every BC city with more than 5,000 people had to change its zoning rules by June the 30th of 2024. The goal was to allow what they call small-scale multi-unit housing. Okay, so here's how the new rules work. On a regular size family lot under 280 square meters, you can now build 3 units. On a bigger lot than 280 square meters, 4 units. And if that lot's within 400 meters of a frequent bus stop, you can go up to 6 units. Coach houses, garden suites, duplexes with suites, houseplexes, all of it is allowed automatically. No rezoning, no neighborhood meeting, no public hearing. Surrey adopted its version on July the 8th, 2024. The city took 20 single family and duplex zones they already had and rolled them into 9 new SSMUH zones covering 72,000 lots across the city. And for about 13,000 of those lots inside frequent bus stop areas, they got rid of parking minimums entirely. So what does this mean for you as a buyer? Well, you can buy a quiet little single family home on a Cloverdale or North Surrey Street, and the older house right next door, that could be eligible for a 3 to 6 unit build. No warning to you, no public meeting, no chance to to object. A lot of buyers right now are seeing old houses get knocked down on their walks around the neighborhood, and they're worried that a fourplex is going up next door. And that worry makes total sense. I get it. When you buy a house in 2026, you're also buying whatever the street around it becomes over the next 5 years. And that's before the rules around your offer even kick in, which we'll get to next. By the way, if you're thinking of buying or selling in Surrey, Langley, White Rock, Cloverdale, reach out to me. We can talk about what the right move is for you. And if you already own a home, we can talk about what it's worth as well. My contact info is in the description below, as well as a link where you can get a free home evaluation on your current home. All right, let's get back to it. The true cost of the 3-day cooling off period. Now, this next one kind of feels like a gift to buyers on the surface. It's not, and I'll prove it to you. Back on January the 3rd, 2023, BC introduced the home buyer rescission period under the Property Law Amendment Act. After your offer gets accepted, you've got 3 business days to back out. Sounds great, right? A free second guess window. Well, here's where out-of-province buyers get caught every time. Backing out is not free. There's a penalty of 0.25% of the purchase price, and it goes straight to the seller. So on a $1.2 million Surrey home, that's $3,000 out of your pocket and into the seller's pocket if you walk. Real money for what a lot of people think is a free change of mind clause. This rule has been around for a few years now, and it's way more annoying for sellers than anyone else. They're stuck waiting 3 business days every time an offer comes in, not knowing if the deal is going to fall apart. So for buyers, the lesson is pretty simple. Don't use this window in place of proper subject conditions. Subject to financing, subject to inspection, subject to documents. Use those clauses the right way, and the rescission period becomes a last resort safety net, not your main way out. Write a subject-free offer in a competitive moment, change your mind, and you owe 0.25%. No appeals, no excuses. Now, that rescission fee is a one-time hit though. The next one shows up every month, and it's hidden inside a building you don't even own yet. Strata, depreciation reports, and insurance loops. All right, so if you're looking at townhomes or condos in Surrey or Langley, this information alone could save you tens of thousands of dollars. Every strata corporation with 5 or more lots in BC has to get what's called a depreciation report. It's basically a 30-year forecast of every repair and replacement cost on the building. The thing is, the rules around these reports change in a big way in 2024. As of July the 1st, 2024, Strata Corps can't keep voting to put the reports off forever. Reports are required every 5 years now, and as of July the 1st, 2025, the report has to be done by a real professional like an engineer or an architect, not just a board member with a clipboard. For Metro Vancouver and Fraser Valley buildings that haven't done a report since the end of 2020, the deadline to get one done is July the 1st of 2026. So right now, a whole bunch of Surrey and Langley buildings are going through it for their first real depreciation report cycle. But that brings us to the Strata insurance deductible problem. The deductibles for water damage in BC, they've gone up a lot. Around 60% of strata corporations are now carrying deductibles above $50,000. And in older or higher risk buildings, the water damage deductible can hit anywhere from $50,000 to $250,000 per claim. So if a pipe bursts in your suite and floods 2 floors below you, the strata can come after you personally for that deductible. That's not a typo, up to $100,000 out of your pocket. And here's the red flag that catches new buyers all the time. A low monthly strata fee, that's not a deal, that could be a warning sign. Since November 1st, 2023, every strata has to put at least 10% of their yearly operating budget into the contingency reserve fund, basically the building's rainy day account. So if the fees look weirdly cheap compared to similar buildings, there's a good chance the fund is running low and a special assessment could be coming. A special assessment is a one-time bill the strata can charge every owner to cover a big repair the rainy day account can't pay for. Now, before we move on to taxes, here's what you can do to protect yourself. Once you decide to write an offer on Surrey or Langley strata, just pause right there. First, you want to go through the latest depreciation report very carefully, and even try load it into an AI platform like ChatGPT or Claude and ask it to summarize things. Also look at the Form B that shows strata fees and contingency reserve balance. You'll also receive the Strata insurance certificate when you write an offer with the water deductible and also at least 2 years of Strata meeting minutes. That reviews the difference between a buyer who gets in clean and one who opens the mailbox 4 months later after closing and finds a $30,000 special assessment letter. The property transfer tax tiers. Now this one is pure math. It's the cash hit that surprises people the most because most of them don't include it when they're saving up for their down payment. So BC charges a property transfer tax, or PTT, every time a property changes hands. The rate goes up in tiers: 1% on the first $200,000, 2% from $200,000 to $2 million, and 3% from $3 million. And if you got enough money to buy a house that expensive above $3 million, it's 5%. Now let me run the numbers on a $1.2 million Surrey detached home. 1% on the first $200,000 is $2,000. 2% on the next $1 million is $20,000. So your total PTT bill, $22,000, is due at closing. And that's on top of your down payment, on top of your legal fees, on top of moving costs, all of that. So saving up the down payment, that's only half the battle in BC. Now there is a first time buyer break, but Surrey prices kind of work against most buyers here. The full break applies to homes up to $835,000 with a partial break up to $860,000. The typical detached price in Cloverdale right now is in the upper 1.3 millions. North Surrey detached are on the low 1.3 millions. White Rock and South Surrey detached in the upper 1.7 range and up. So no detached home in Surrey is going to qualify for the first time buyer break today. Most townhomes in South Surrey around the upper 800s to low 900s also fall outside the cutoff. Now, before we talk about another kind of tax, there's one more thing that gets missed. There's actually a separate break for newly built homes. There's a full PTT break on a brand new home up to $1.1 million and partial break up to $1.15 million. So if you're looking at a pre-sale or brand new construction, that $22,000 tax bill might disappear entirely. Now, before you start celebrating, there's one more BC tax that just got a lot more expensive in 2026. And this one, well, it can show up every year you own the property. The speculation and vacancy tax nuances. Both Surrey and Langley fall inside the taxable area for the BC speculation and vacancy tax, or SVT for short. This is a yearly tax, not a one-time closing cost. And starting January 1st, 2026, the rates jumped a lot. For Canadian citizens and permanent residents who pay their taxes in Canada, the rate went from 0.5% to 1% of what their home is assessed at. For foreign owners and people whose income isn't taxed in Canada, the rate went from 2% to 3%. And here's the trap that catches you. Every owner of a home in the taxable area has to file a declaration every year, even if you're 100% exempt as a regular owner who lives there. Declaration letters go out in February and the deadline to file is March the 31st. Miss it and your property gets flagged as vacant automatically and taxed at the full rate. No reminder from the BC government, no appeals. One more thing too, for anyone buying a property that the last owner left empty, if they didn't file their SVT declarations, those old tax bills can sometimes stick to the property. So you want to dig in hard before you close. Make sure the previous owner filed everything the right way before you get the keys. Overall, the BC market in 2026 rewards the people who do their homework. The rules are not like anywhere else in Canada, and thinking they are is the most expensive mistake you can make. But all of it can be avoided with the right plan, which is exactly what I can help you with. So if you're looking at buying or selling in Surrey, Langley, or White Rock, don't figure this out the hard way. Email me at info@moteam.ca today, and I'll help you avoid any of these traps that might apply to your purchase. Speaking of traps, did you know people are leaving some specific areas of Surrey? If you want to find out which ones, check out the video I've linked up here. You're definitely going to want to watch that info before you make your decision. Hey, appreciate everyone being here. We'll see you in the next video.